Hi, this is Stu, and I'm going to show you a pretty in-depth review of the new ASUS Padfone Mini, which is kind of a two-part device here consisting of a larger tablet station and a smaller 4.3-inch smartphone. And they integrate together like so. It's pretty cool, huh? Let's get down to the device. So here we have the two parts of our Padfone from ASUS, the Padfone Mini I should say. And we're going to focus on this little guy first. He's a 4.3-inch device. The screen is a resolution of 960 by 540. Inside here we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400, which is pretty snappy and runs Jelly Bean 4.3 Android, pretty damn slick. If we just go around the device, we can see that there's a power button right here. It's actually quite high up. I kind of prefer the power button a little further down, but hey, that's where they put it. There's a volume rocker just below that. Around the top, we have an audio jack. There's not a great deal else on the device apart from the port which interfaces with the Padfone station right here. On the rear, we've got an 8-megapixel camera, which is backed by a flash. Nice ASUS and Padfone logos. On the front, we have a 2-megapixel without flash. Inside here, you're getting 1 gigabyte of DDR2 low power, 16 gigs of internal storage, which is not bad. The whole thing weighs around 100 grams, or just over 100 grams, and you're getting a relatively small battery with a 1,500 milliamp hour polymer battery. If we just go now to the larger part of things, I'll just insert into here. And you can see immediately, this is the real trick, this is where all the magic is, immediately we've transformed our phone into a tablet. So you can see that this is a much larger 7-inch screen. It's 1280 by 800 resolution. And again, with both of these devices together, you've got a fair bit of weight here. This is over 300 grams now. But the station also adds a larger 2,200 milliamp hour battery, which if your phone is actually almost running out, it's almost drained, you can just insert your phone into the tablet and the tablet will charge your phone for you. Going around the device here, we can see it's pretty similar. We've now got a USB port here at the top, power switch a little lower down, and the rocker switch like so. There's nothing on the bottom or on the other side. Your 8-megapixel camera is still here on the rear. However, your 2-megapixel camera has disappeared. In terms of how the two devices interact together, as you can see, it's pretty slick. It's very, very slick indeed. The display is nice and bright, and the performance is great. But you'll notice that there's been some corners cut. This isn't Corning glass, or Gorilla Glass, I should say. This is a regular kind of slightly cheaper display. It doesn't feel quite as nice as a lot of displays that we've used, but it does the job. The same can be the same of the tablet actually. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, in terms of tablet, if you were comparing this, say, to the new Nexus 7, which is 1920 by 1200, then this is obviously not quite of that standard. Same could be said for this guy. I mean, if you compare this to the Sony Xperia Z Compact, which has a 720p screen, again here you get 1960 by 540, so yeah, there's obviously ASUS have had to make some compromises to try and keep the price down, and also I think in terms of display it also helps in terms of weight. These kinds of displays are a touch lighter, so some interesting design decisions there. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the camera. If I start up the camera app right here, you can see this is a customized ASUS app. The zoom time is pretty quick. You can see here are some photos I took of my lovely little cat, which was in quite a well-lit situation, so that worked quite well. If we go back to here, you can see that sometimes the HDR doesn't quite work and there's a little bit of saturation there. In low light environments, like this is St. Patrick's Day, in low light environments in a bar, it's a little grainy. So I think the camera, the actual sensor, it's an 8-megapixel, but again it isn't of the highest caliber. It's not bad. The 2-megapixel, like most 2-megapixels, it's okay for a selfie now and again, but yeah, I mean, who uses 2-megapixel cameras for serious photography anyway? So okay, let's move on. So if I can just show you how the audio sounds on this, we'll go to my music play app and Keep Rockin' is a great song. We love this one. So you can see for a small device, it's actually packing quite a punch. But the cool thing is, if I automatically add this, so again, a much richer, fuller sound here from the speaker on the reverse side. And it's kind of cool the way the app didn't stop. It just continued to keep going. And I guess seamless would be the word that ASUS would use, and it really is. There's a gap of a few seconds, but then there you go. Actually, in terms of volume and clarity, it's not bad. Okay, so here we are outdoors with the ASUS Padfone Mini, and we're going to give this a little test to see how the display works outdoors. So first of all, I think it's only fair we turn the brightness up to its maximum settings, so we give it a chance to compete against the sunlight where we are. As you can see, the screen is very reflective, it's got to be said. Okay, let's open our gallery. Okay, so just delve in here, we can see it's quite a vivid image. And the blacks are quite black. The contrast is decent. It's nothing spectacular, but it's not bad. Again, you can see these reflections. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's get in here and look just how crisp is that red. It's not bad. The greens are very deep and dark. That's not too bad, actually. That's pretty good. On this guy, I kind of think that the dark scarlet red that we should be seeing is, if anything, slightly pink, a little bit washy. Okay, zoom in here, see how we are for detail. Right, and here we have a windmill. Let's have a look at these whites here. Let's get right in, see how they look. That's not bad, actually. So overall, you know, this is an LCD screen. It's not an LED. We don't have Gorilla Glass or anything too fancy. But overall, the experience is pretty decent for a mid-range kind of screen. It's not bad. So let's talk about performance. Inside the ASUS Pad Mini, we've got a Snapdragon 400 from Qualcomm, which is not a, by any means a cheap or bottom-end system on chip, but it's a quad-core chip, and it's kind of aimed more at this market, the 4.3 market, more than the 7-inch market. And what that means is that in terms of raw performance, in our benchmarks, which you can check out in full review, check the description below, we found that actually the phone part was performing better. And we figured that's just because there are more pixels to deal with this guy. So especially the GPU is going to struggle to kind of perform to the same level in the tablet, which is ironic because you might want to do your gaming on the tablet more than you'd want to do your gaming and push the GPU on your smartphone. So that's quite interesting. Okay, so battery life. Inside here, you're getting a 1,500 milliamp hour. Just to recap here, a 2,200 milliamp hour, which together, just to do the math for you, is approximately 3,600 milliamp hour battery. Which, if we compare, say, to the first generation Nexus 7, has more than 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So the battery life, actually, I found is not bad. You're getting at least a day out of the phone. If you're using the tablet, though, although the tablet can help you to charge it, the tablet will draw more power also, so you have to be aware of that. I guess, again, it's similar to the display and also the SoC and quite a few things, the camera. I guess, again, it's just a compromise. ASUS have had to come to a compromise in the design of this device, and that's also true of battery life. It's also important to note that because you're dealing with two devices coming together to make one device, that they do have a slightly heavier power draw. So if you want to charge the tablet and the phone at the same time, you have to use the 7-watt power adapter that's supplied or bundled with the product. Trust me, I've tried the cheapo Taiwan night market power supply and it didn't do any good, so definitely stick with the bundled power adapter on this one. So let's quickly take a look at the ASUS customized Zen UI, which they've put over the top of Android 4.3 Jelly Bean. So if we open people here, one thing that I like is, look at Andrew Chen here. I'll just cover his phone number so you can't see. But Andrew has been designated a colorful candies kind of guy. Now I don't know how ASUS have decided this, but I quite like the way, if a profile doesn't have a profile picture, ASUS will give you one anyway. Let's look at our buddy Andy Raffel. Andy Raffel, all right, mate, he's a hill with a little lane, and I have no idea why. Let's look at Anita. Anita is also a hill. Andrew Formosa, he's a leaf with droplets on. I'm not really sure exactly how ASUS has decided this, but I like it. I like the way they've added color to most of the UI, and that also goes for some of the apps. If we open the calendar app here, it's, I think, quite a decent, sleek design, but the cool thing is, if I now pull out the phone part, you can now see that the calendar is transitioned very well, seamlessly, to the smaller phone. Let's go back and try, say, for example, let's try Gmail. So here we have my Gmail. Will it transition? No, it will not. So some apps ASUS have managed to optimize, especially I think all of their own apps are optimized to do this transition really, really well. Unfortunately, almost all of the third-party apps, we're talking Facebook, WhatsApp, all of the messaging apps, and also, as you saw, Gmail, they don't transition so well. So that's a little bit of a shame, but I guess it's to ASUS's credit that they've looked after their own in-house software and they've made that transition really work. So overall, how do I feel about the device? Haven't used it for a few weeks now. I'd have to say that overall I really like it. It's really grown on me. I wasn't used to initially the 4.3-inch display size. It was actually a little bit small, going from my usual phone, which is a Galaxy Note 2. But then that brings in the question, do you really need the two extremes, the smaller guy and then the larger guy? Or are you happier maybe with something in between, which is a 5-inch plus device, which is kind of more what I'm used to? But in terms of build quality and design, for the price point, this guy's supposed to be $250 in the US. That's the target retail price in the US. I'm not sure about Europe, UK, Australia, other places, but if this is true, then it's a fantastic price point. I mean, I don't see how you can go wrong. And I think it'll be very attractive with students, maybe, other people who are more maybe price conscious. But what about the Padfone series in general? I mean, ASUS here have really, they've targeted this device at a completely different part of the market. They came out with the original Padfone, then the Padfone 2, which weren't cheap, and then they came out with the Padfone Infinity, and then they upgraded that as well, so you've got the second version of the Infinity. And they're pretty much high-end devices. They try to push the boundary, they're not cheap. This is targeting a completely different segment, so I don't know, there is always a worry that if you build a hero kind of brand, which the Padfone has up till now been for ASUS, are they tarnishing that with a low price kind of device? Or are they just expanding it, as I'm sure their marketing and PR people will say, we're expanding it to all segment ranges. For me, I think it's actually quite a brave decision. And if you look at how ASUS have approached this, they have the phone pads, the Padphones, they have the Transformer series. They're being very innovative. They're trying anything and everything almost, it seems. So I guess if this doesn't work out for them and they don't ship any of these Padfone minis in volume, then maybe they'll drop it. But it's credit to them, I guess, that they're willing to try things and to innovate at different segment levels. So I gotta say, in conclusion, for the price, you cannot go wrong, and credit for ASUS for building a really great device.